Nigeria's acting Inspector General of Police, Adegboye, has said collaborative efforts were ongoing to secure the swift release of 8 National Youth Service Corps members kidnapped in Zamfara State about 4 weeks ago. IGP Adegboye stated this while delivering his remarks at the meeting with strategic police managers and media briefing highlighting policies, breakthroughs and achievements of the Nigerian police force in the last 5 weeks. The police boss stated that the safety and well-being of all citizens, particularly young NYSC members, remained of utmost importance to the force. He said the force is analyzing intelligence gathered thus far, while also exploring collaborative efforts with security agencies to secure the unconditional release of these individuals as swiftly as possible without harm. Ogbodo Fidelis, a security expert, joins us now to discuss more on this development. Thank you so much for your time, Fidelis.
Thank you. Good evening.
Evening. All right. Now, it's been 4 weeks now that 8 corps members were kidnapped. Do you think the police are swift enough, as claimed by the IGP in a statement?
Thank you very much. I can say that the statement you are referring to was made by the Inspector General of Police on 14th of September 2023. That was exactly after 4 weeks when that incident happened. Therefore, I can say that, and this where the event or the venue where that statement was made was a media briefing of the Inspector General of Police, where he want to showcase his achievement in the last 5 weeks of his assumption of office as Inspector General of Police. And before that time, immediately 10 days after that incident, many civil society organizations like Human Rights Writers Association already calling for the resignation of Inspector General of Police for his not intervening on that issue immediately, as well as the governor of Zamfara State and that of Akwa Ibom State. So I can say, considering the time frame in which that intervention came, is not swift and precise enough. But that will not exclude other interventions the police may be making without actually exposing the member of the public to it, depending on the nature of the incident and the tactical operations that police are carrying out because of the nature of that operation. By the information and the statement of Inspector General of Police, it is very, very clear that he concluded by saying that rescue operation is a tactical operation that requires a different approach, and to preserve the life of the victims, there is other things police can actually do, not being as swift as we may consider them to be in the instance. But consider the time frame, actually, the police have not actually discharged their responsibility appropriately. Thank you.
All right. Now, the police seem to be overwhelmed by the number of crimes committed in the country daily. How do you think this can also be managed? And do you think, in a way, that can also hamper their efficiency?
I think no guess saying that police are actually be overwhelmed, considering the nature of incidences of crime and criminality in Nigerian society today. Considering the number of personnel in Nigerian police force is actually abysmal in number, and the United Nations resolution of 1 policeman to 400 citizens, police fall below short of that in that calculation and resolution. And you look at number of police, some states in Nigeria have like 1 policeman to 1,500 individuals. To that extent, you find out that the number of personnel we have in Nigeria police is not appropriate and proportionate to the number of Nigerian citizens that they want to police. So in my recommendation in this regard on this point is that there's a need for us to scale up the level of police recruitment. And the recruitment is not just carrying persons to the Nigerian police force. There is a need for them to regime to ensure that there is merit. We have our best 11 Nigerian police force, individuals among us that have the capacity and the ability to actually discharge that responsibility. And we can also see by the history of Nigerian police force that police have been, underfunded by the past government. Considering the military regime and integrum that took place in this country for over 22 years, police have been midwifed by the army, underfunded them so that police will not have the capacity to challenge the military oligarchy as of that time. And that process have actually continued. Nigerian police force is lead agent in the internal security in the democratic society as we have it today. But if you go to like Northeast, where we have counter-insurgency operations, joint task force, you find that it's the Nigerian military that is leading the operation. And that the reverse is supposed to be the case. Police is supposed to be in charge of internal operations, internal security in any democratic system. And thank God that the recent government, when we have our NBA recently, the National Security Advisor being represented, made that emphatic idea as they lead that they want to change the tide to restore the position of the Nigerian police force to ensure that they actually play the lead role. Then to increase the funding of Nigerian police force, if they are being given this responsibility, police are being funded. I believe that Nigerian police force have the capacity and the ability to actually tackle the current security challenges we are having today. Therefore, there is also the relationship between poverty, unemployment, lack of education to issue of security. There is a need for the intention of the Nigerian government to ensure that the relationship between the insecurity, issue of corruption, issue of poverty and lack of education is being tackled. And it's going to be an intentional effort of the government. Therefore, if, for example, unemployment is simply defined as when able-bodied young men who are capable to work are seeking for job and there is none. And talk more of those that have gone to university, they come out, there's no education. They now resort to the issue of crime as a way to get rich quick syndrome. So my advice is that there is a need for us to actually fund Nigerian police force. There is a need for us to actually train and retrain the members of Nigerian police force. If you look at section 19 of the Police Act of 2020, it made it very clear that there is a need to ensure that a police officer acquires a training within a certain period of time. And finally, I talk issue of technology. There's a need for police to actually deploy technology. Even though police have next number of manpower, there's a need for high level of technology, communication gadgets to actually upscale their capacity to face the challenges that crime has imposed in our society today.
All right, Fidelis, I mean, briefly, before I let you go, most times ransom are paid to ensure that captives are set free from the kidnappers' den. I mean, oftentimes, this seems to encourage more kidnappings, you know, like it's been observed. Now, in your opinion, what's your take concerning the payment of ransom to kidnappers?
It is very clear that after state-sponsored kidnapping, the next revenue source for kidnappers is payment of ransom. The kidnapper has
you said state-sponsored kidnapping. Do you want to, yes, elucidate on what that actually entails?
Okay, I'm talking about the resources of the kidnappers. For example, we have some states that are even issue of terrorism where states are sponsoring terrorism or kidnapping. So states will have enough resources to ensure that they achieve that particular objective, but not Nigeria state in this instance.
Okay. Okay.
Then the next way in which the kidnappers can actually source the resources is by the way of ransom. And whenever you are increasing the number of ransom being paid to these kidnappers, you find that they also increase their capacity and ability to, acquire weapons, take care of their list and other things. There is a report in the Punch newspaper recently that between June 2011 to July 2023, Nigerian citizens have actually paid about 13 billion naira ransom to kidnappers. So therefore, if there is a need for us if there is a targeted policy by the government to reduce the number and the amount being given to this calamity, there is a need for us to create a balancing. I think in 2002, there is a bill passed by the Nigerian Senate trying to criminalize issue of payment of ransom. And they prescribe as much as 15 years imprisonment for anyone who pays ransom to these individuals. So therefore, there's a need for us to create a balance, considering the hard decision the family members of these victims have to take to abandon their own because of the fear of going to jail for 15 years. And secondly, the ability of the Nigerian state to create an effective mechanism in which they can use to give hope to the Nigerian that if you are your loved one is being kidnapped, that the police or the security agency has the capacity to rescue this individual. So if there is no interplay between these two relationships, it's very, very difficult for Nigeria State to enforce that policy in the first place. But my take in this instance is that there is a need for us to reduce the instances of kidnapping, reduce the instances of payment of ransom, to enable us to enforce and limit the propensity and the capacity of these kidnappers to continue to carry out their heinous act against Nigerian citizens. But it's also difficult on the part of Nigerian citizens to abandon their own on the death of the kidnappers, because there is a government law or the risk, the possibility of going to prison.
All right, thank you so much for your time, Fidelis. I'm sorry, because we're pressed with time, Fidelis. Thank you so much for your time. We might just need to, of course, cut the interview at this point. But once again, thank you, Fidelis. Thank you.